The figure of Lucifer, often synonymous with the devil in Christian theology, is one of the most enigmatic and debated characters in religious history. Understanding who he was before his fall and the journey that led him to be seen as the ultimate adversary offers a fascinating glimpse into the evolution of religious thought and mythology. Lucifer before the fall. The lightbearer. The name Lucifer comes from the Latin word Lucifer, meaning light-bearer or morning star. This term originally referred to the planet Venus, which appears as a bright star just before dawn. In the Hebrew Bible, the figure associated with Lucifer appears in Isaiah 14:12. "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn." The passage was likely a taunt directed at the Babylonian king who had risen in power but fell due to hubris. It wasn't originally intended to describe a celestial being, but later interpretations associated it with a rebellious angel. Lucifer, in Christian tradition, was an archangel, often depicted as the most beautiful and powerful of God's creations. He is said to have been close to God, radiating divine light and possessing immense authority over other angels. He was revered as a being of unmatched brilliance, reflecting God's glory. The rebellion in heaven, a story of pride. The story of Lucifer's fall is rooted in apocryphal texts and Christian tradition rather than explicit biblical accounts. The key idea is pride, often considered the root of his rebellion. According to the Book of Enoch and interpretations of Ezekiel 28 and Revelation 12, Lucifer, overcome by his Owlandor, sought to exalt himself above God. This act of defiance led to a cosmic rebellion where he and a third of the angels waged war against the divine order. Lucifer's ambition is famously summarized in John Milton's Paradise Lost, where he declares, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven." This rebellion ended in his expulsion from heaven. He and his followers were cast down, transforming from luminous beings into the fallen angels associated with darkness and evil. The transformation into Satan. The shift from Lucifer to Satan marks a significant theological evolution. While Lucifer represents the light-bearer, Satan is derived from the Hebrew word hasatan, meaning the adversary or accuser. In the book of Job, Satan appears not as the embodiment of evil, but as a heavenly prosecutor, testing human faithfulness to God. Over time, especially with the influence of early Christian writers, Lucifer and Satan became conflated. Church fathers like Augustine and Origen tied the figure of Lucifer from Isaiah and the serpent in Genesis to Satan, creating a cohesive narrative of rebellion, temptation, and enmity toward humanity. By the Middle Ages, Satan became solidified as the ultimate adversary and tempter in Christian theology. Pre-Christian influences, the devil, across cultures. The concept of a fallen celestial being or antagonist is not unique to Christianity. Many ancient religions have figures resembling Lucifer in their mythologies. 1. Hades, Greek mythology. Hades, the god of the underworld, is often misunderstood as an evil figure. Unlike Lucifer, Hades does not rebel against higher powers. He governs the realm of the dead with neutrality. However, both figures share associations with the underworld and judgment. Second set, Egyptian mythology. Set, the god of chaos and storms, is another parallel. Set is portrayed as a disruptor who murders his brother Osiris but is not wholly evil. Like Lucifer, Set embodies the complex nature of rebellion and opposition within a cosmic framework. 3. Prometheus, Greek mythology. Prometheus, who defied Zeus to bring fire to humanity, also bears similarities to Lucifer as a light bearer and rebel. However, Prometheus's defiance is often seen as noble, unlike Lucifer's pride-driven rebellion. These myths suggest that the concept of a powerful being challenging the divine or cosmic order is a recurring theme, reflecting humanity's grappling with the ideas of authority, freedom, and the nature of evil. The Watchers and their commander, Samyaza. The Book of Enoch introduces another intriguing narrative about celestial beings called the Watchers. These angels were sent to oversee humanity but fell from grace when they lusted after human women. Their leader, Samyaza, or Shemazai, orchestrated their rebellion, which resulted in the birth of the Nephilim, the giants described in Genesis 6. Samyaza's role parallels Lucifer's in that both leaders succumbed to desires forbidden by divine law. However, Samyaza's rebellion was more about indulgence and corruption, whereas Lucifer's was a direct challenge to God's sovereignty. Some traditions conflate Samyaza with Satan or Lucifer, further weaving the tales of rebellion into a unified narrative. The evolution of the devil in Christianity. The modern image of the devil as a horned, red-skinned figure with a pitchfork is a relatively recent construct, influenced by medieval art and folklore. Early Christians borrowed imagery from pagan gods like Pan, who was associated with wildness and indulgence, to create a visual representation of evil. The devil's role also evolved, reflecting the changing fears of society. During the early church, he was seen as a tempter and deceiver. During the Middle Ages, the devil became a more prominent figure in the popular imagination, representing heresy, witchcraft, and all opposition to the church. Why did Lucifer become the devil? Lucifer's fall into the role of the devil underscores theological concerns about pride, rebellion, and free will. In Christian thought, his story serves as a warning against hubris and the rejection of divine authority. His transformation from the most beautiful angel to the personification of evil illustrates the consequences of turning away from God's light. The devil is not merely a figure of evil, but a cautionary tale of what happens when creation rebels against the Creator. His story has remained compelling because it addresses universal questions about the nature of good and evil, free will, and the cost of ambition. Lucifer's story is a rich tapestry woven from biblical texts, apocryphal writings, and cultural influences. He represents a duality, light and darkness, beauty and pride, rebellion and consequence. Whether seen as a cautionary figure, a misunderstood being, or a symbol of resistance, Lucifer's legacy endures, challenging humanity to reflect on its nature and choices. Who were the fallen angels? The story of Samyaza and their connections across cultures. The concept of fallen angels originates in ancient religious texts, particularly within Judeo-Christian traditions, where they are described as celestial beings who defied God and were cast out of heaven. Their rebellion, motivations, and influence have fascinated humanity for centuries, sparking comparisons with other myths like those of the Sumerians' Anunnaki. The beginning of the story. The fall of the angels. The tale of the fallen angels is most famously detailed in the Book of Enoch, a Jewish apocryphal text written around the 3rd century BCE. According to the text, a group of angels known as the Watchers were assigned to observe humanity. However, they grew enamored with human women and descended to earth to take them as wives, leading to the birth of the Nephilim, giant, powerful beings said to cause chaos on earth. Samyaza, the leader of the Watchers, played a pivotal role. He convinced the other angels to join him in this act of rebellion, swearing an oath together to ensure no one would back out. This act of defiance not only defiled their heavenly purpose, but also led to their eventual punishment, being cast into an abyss until the day of judgment. Connections to the Sumerian Anunnaki. The Sumerians, one of the earliest known civilizations, told stories of the Anunnaki, a group of deities who played a key role in creation myths and humanity's development. Some interpretations suggest parallels between the Anunnaki and the fallen angels. According to Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki were divided into factions, with some rebelling against the established order, leading to conflict among the gods. This echoes the narrative of celestial beings defying divine authority, as seen with the Watchers. An older version of the story of divine beings interacting with humanity and falling from grace predates Christianity. The Greek myth of the Titans, who rebelled against Zeus and were cast into Tartarus, shares striking similarities. Additionally, ancient Hindu texts describe the Asuras, powerful beings who often opposed the gods, devas. These myths suggest a universal fascination with the idea of celestial rebellion and its consequences. Shared themes. Across civilizations, Many ancient cultures share narratives involving higher beings defying cosmic laws, often resulting in punishment or chaos. The common themes include 1. Rebellion against divine authority, seen in the Watchers, Lucifer, the Anunnaki, and the Titans. 2. Forbidden interaction with humanity. The Watchers taking human wives mirrors myths where gods intermingle with mortals, such as in Greek mythology. 3. Cosmic punishment. Rebellious beings are often imprisoned or banished, as with the Watchers in the Abyss, Lucifer in Hell, or the Titans in Tartarus. The enduring mystery. The tale of the fallen angels, Lucifer the morning star, and their counterparts across cultures invite speculation about humanity's collective imagination. Did these stories arise from shared experiences or cultural exchanges, or do they reflect something deeper about our understanding of morality and divine order? While each culture frames these tales uniquely, their shared motifs point to universal questions about power, rebellion, and the boundaries between the mortal and the divine.